Keri, how did you get started in wellness? And I want you to like dig deep for me. Like, were you always healthy? Like, tell me the truth.
Oh my. So first of all, I'm going to answer this. I guess I'm going to say, how do I even answer this? Because the answer to that is no, I was not always healthy, but yes, I was always interested in wellness. So I probably am still a little bit like this. I was the person that loved candy and sweets, probably more than anyone you knew, but I also loved being healthy. I think I was always like that. Now, I probably don't love candy and sweets as much anymore because I've been trained to not crave those things as much, but I still like my sweets, I love my chocolate chip cookies. But I was that person, like I loved candy and I loved junk, but I also loved being healthy. And I always so interested in how food fueled the body. We've talked a little bit about this. I played sports. Really, it came, I think, originally from my interest in sports and being an athlete. I was a gymnast when I was younger and a swimmer. And then in high school, and college, I played soccer and lacrosse. But I think it was more when I was a gymnast, I first started getting interested in how food fueled the body. And it's funny though, we had this junk drawer in my house that was filled with the worst ever, like Oreos, Doritos, like the junk. But at the same time, my mom made a perfectly healthy, or I would say maybe not always perfectly healthy, but a very balanced meal every single night. We sat down to a salad, vegetable, starch, protein every single night. So, and again, not always the healthiest versions of those foods, but we always sat down to a healthy meal. But we had a lot of junk around, but I was just interested in how food fueled you. And that continued even into, we'll get there, but even into college when I got more and more interested in food, it was always about how food fueled the body. And you could also, of course, like many women in college, I wanted to maintain a weight and I gained in college. That's a whole other story. But I wanted to lose weight and maintain that weight, but also in a way that I could fuel my body. So it wasn't about this being skinny at all costs. It was like this, I know I needed to fuel my body and I knew I felt good eating, but how do I do that? How do I gain that, weight that I want, but also, or not gain, get to the weight I want. Not gain. How do I get to the weight I want and be fueled properly for the, that was really always the, did I answer correctly?
You did. Well, you led into, yes, you're on the way. So,
see, this is why we us talking.
We're riffing. Yeah, I love it. So you're going to college, and did you go to school for nutrition?
No. And you know what? I went to Tufts undergrad. And if you don't know, Tufts has an incredible nutrition program, but I was a political science major with a concentration in philosophy, which is so funny.
I don't think I knew that. That's so. By the way, I've known
Keri. Loved it.
I've known Keri for 10 years, and I keep learning something new about her every day. I had no idea.
There was a time I could talk Nietzsche, Locke.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So much anymore. Don't test me on that right now. But seriously, yeah. Any Tufts friends out there watching? Professor Devine, he was my favorite. He was my advisor, my favorite in the philosophy department. Anyway, moving right along from that. So Tufts was this amazing place for nutrition. I actually did not major. I had a major interest in it, but I did not major in it because I was actually scared of sciences. I was like, this is going to be too hard. I'm not a science girl. I'm a philosophy person, more English person. I am not a science person. So Tufts, though, had actually a healthy dining hall. It was called Pound. And this was the time where everything was fat free. So most of the things in this, healthy dining hall were basically fat free, but they told you the calories. And this is a long time ago. I mean, I'm no spring chicken. So this is a while ago that we had this, there was this dining hall at school, and it's so funny because none of my friends ever wanted to go with me. I had this major interest in it. But yeah, it didn't really end up eating there that much because again, mostly none of my friends ever wanted to eat there with me. But I did, check it out. I remember being super interested in nutrition when I was there. But yeah, I was a little bit scared of the sciences, which is so ironic because then when I went back to school for it, I kind of crushed them and I love them and I'm kind of obsessed with science. So it's just ironic.
Well, the whole ethos of Nutritious Life is it's fun. It's so great and easy to read, but it's the science, and you are a stickler for science, which I know with all the so which is
I
great.
kind
And
of
that's
beat
why you're
up on
getting good.
that, don't I? What's the
You
science?
should.
Research? Is this the latest research? I know, I'm a pain in the neck. I'm sorry.
No, but it's good because then the reader knows that they're getting like legit, which is like, it's the Wild West out there. So I think that's awesome. So, okay. So can you tell me, like, okay, let's start from the beginning. When did you start Nutritious Life and why? Like, what was it that you wanted to do back then?
Okay, so are we picking up from college? Where are we going? How far back are we going? So let's fast forward a little bit. So like I always say that the origins of Nutritious Life actually started in college because like I said, I gained a lot of weight, but I was playing sports. And I remember I remember thinking, okay, when I ate, I not only, did I, let's say, perform better on the athletic field, but I slept better. And then I slept better, just was happier. And then I was more motivated to eat well. So I always say that was like the origins of the pillars of a nutritious life. Although of course I didn't call it that then. So then fast forward, I actually worked at Sports Illustrated right when I graduated college. And then I went back to school and I took nutrition at NYU. Really, I just took nutrition 101 for just to kind of try it out to see, just because again, I was super interested in it. It was really just a passion. It was something I obsessively read about. So I took that before going all in. And then, so then I went back, I went all in. Oh, you said, how did I start Nutritious Life? So then, after, I'm going to fast forward a little bit. When I finished school and I got my master's in clinical nutrition, when I finished, I worked at a startup company in nutrition, but go past that. When I was there for a couple of years, otherwise we'll be here for 2 hours. After I was there I knew I was a startup business. And even though I was working in the nutrition world, it wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. I was not working I really wanted to work one-on-one. So I started seeing some clients on the side, and then I decided, going all in, I am using the skills that I learned at this startup business to be an entrepreneur in my own practice. So I really just dove in, rented a space downtown, and started a private practice. But when I started that private, I knew this was the time. Lindsay, what it was like back then. It was, all diet and exercise. And that was like everything in nutrition and dietetics at the time.
Right.
Was about like diet and exercise, right? So I knew then when I started my practice that I did not want to educate people just on diet and exercise. I knew that did not bring success. I knew that didn't bring lifelong healthy eating habits. So again, going back to what I was saying about when I was in college, I just sort of, it was intuitive to me. Well, most people understand how when you eat well, you sleep well, right? But we don't always put those things together. So I knew that when I started my practice, and then at this point, I had now studied how all of these things work together, from sleep and stress, how they all work together from a physiological and a behavioral standpoint. So I knew when I started my practice that I wanted to educate my clients in this manner. I didn't want to just focus on diet and exercise. So actually my first logo, did you ever see the first logo, by the way? The name of the business at the time actually wasn't Nutritious Life. It was Body Fuels. KG bought my initials, Body Fuel.
My gosh, I remember that.
For a very short period of time, and then I changed it. But the logo, and I've talked about this before, but the logo was a little picture of a brain, signifying stress, with a little arrow to a drop of water for hydration, with a little arrow to a bed for sleep. And it was this whole thing about how all these pillars work together. And it's fun. This was almost, so I started my practice when I was pregnant. No, actually, right before I got pregnant with my son. And so Rex is 17 and a half right now. So it was 18 years ago, over 18 years ago. And so, at the time when I used to ask clients about their stress levels and their sleep and their relationships, they used to look at me like, what are you this for? By the way, did Kenny just walk in?
I know, I was just going to be like, hey, shout out to Ken.
He went for a late run this morning. So he's still here. He has been going into the office, actually.
Oh,
anyway.
Really?
Yeah.
Great.
Penny, I'm doing an interview with Lindsay, but on Instagram Live.
Okay.
Hi, miss you.
He's like, okay.
He's like, fine. Call you later.
Okay.
So okay. So I think what I really want to come across, what the article's about is basically.
Yeah. What are you writing about? You said you needed to interview this morning. What are you
writing about? So the article is about basically your career and your life path, but mostly.
Wait, by the way, can I stop you for 1 second? I'm sorry. I'm so rude. I'm interrupting you. I want to tell anybody that's watching, by the way, you can ask questions, ask away if anything, if you feel so inclined.
Yes. Yeah, please, please, please.
I just
So
sorry.
the crux of this is, you know, we have Nutritious Life Studio coming out for the fall semester for the certification, and I'm going to get into that question soon. But the crux of this article and what's going to be coming out about it is really like right now is a really interesting time with the pandemic, and people now more than ever are perhaps, you know, at a pivotal moment where they're feeling unfulfilled about their careers, and they're like, maybe I make a change now, because the world is evolving and changing in terms of where our careers could go, and people don't want to be unhappy anymore. And if they're not happy in their career, they might want to pivot, or maybe they've always been interested in wellness, but they're like, I can't work in wellness. But you started this, you know, Nutritious Life and Nutritious Life Studio to be like, no, you can absolutely fulfill your dreams. And so the point of this is like, you know, to help people that might be super nervous about pivoting in their career, and what they can do. And then also to tell people about Nutritious Life Studio and what the certification program is. So, you know, if you're just joining now, like I'm interviewing Keri for an article on the site, and part of it will be about her career and her trajectory, because she is living proof that, like, you know, yeah, being an entrepreneur is like super hard, but you can be successful. You can follow your dreams. It's super, super important to actually be happy about your job, because we spend so much time doing it. So Keri started this program. So I guess like I'm going to skip around a little with our questions, and I might come back, but I think what I'd really like for you to chat about, because I'm like on this soapbox right now, is like, can you tell me, like, you have the site's amazing. You are seeing clients, but then now there is a school, like you are educating people are taking, and so many people have launched really successful wellness businesses because of you and this program. So can you tell me a little bit, like, what is Nutritious Life Studio? Just like, what's like the you know, the elevator pitch?
Well, first of all, I wanted to say, you mentioned something about people jumping off and changing their careers. I want to just go off on, I just want to mention one thing. When I started, again, this was, what did I say, over 18 years ago, I knew nothing about being an entrepreneur. I had worked in a startup for a couple of years, so I had gained some knowledge there, but I didn't take a course or have a mentor or study it in school. Like, I knew nothing about my own business. And so I always like to tell people, you know, first of all, within the Nutritious Life Studio, you learn all my mistakes. You learn all the things I've done right and all of the things I have done wrong, so you don't make them. And the other thing is that right now, there are so many tools out there to help you be successful. It's so much easier now than it was. I don't want to say that, you know, you have it easier now. Everything's, you know, things are difficult. Things are always difficult, right? It's always a challenge to do things. And it's always, you know, people will always have fear, but I want to say that there are so many tools right now to help you be successful. And so one of them, okay, so let's go to the Nutritious Life Studio like you asked. So when I did start, so I've already talked a little bit with you today about when I started my practice. So, and I said I wanted to really focus on these pillars of what I call a nutritious life. I didn't want it to be, again, like I said, about diet and exercise. But I also knew that I didn't know what I was doing. So I felt like I needed to keep myself accountable. And so I created this binder. I still have it. And I always talk about the binder story. I started this binder, and in the binder, oh, Get Naked Nutrition. Hi, Laura. Sorry, I just saw she joined. I had to give her a shout. Okay, so in this binder, it was sort of myself accountable, and that was the first reason I did it, and I'll tell you the second reason in a second. But the first reason I did it was keep myself accountable. This is what I do in session 1. This is what I do in session 2. This is how, you know, this is the handout I give for someone with, you know, cardiovascular disease. This is my portion guide. So I did it to have everything, you know, in this binder, again, for my accountability, for my structure, to give myself a plan to help people, right? Because there was no roadmap to follow. It's like I had all the science knowledge that I learned in school, but I didn't learn anything about speaking to people, speaking to consumers. I didn't learn anything about translating that science into consumer-friendly language. I didn't learn about running a business or marketing or any of that. So I had no idea how to charge. I didn't know any of that. So I created that binder for myself to keep myself accountable, but then I also had this vision of I want to take this philosophy and I want to share it with people, because when I shared it with, you know, even before I practiced, when I would share it with friends and family, people were like, oh, that makes sense. Right. I have to think about my stress too. Or, you know, I have to think about real whole foods or whatever, you know, at the time it was. So those are the two, those are like, I would say when I started that big, that was the big, those were like the two big things I thought about, like with this binder, is I need this for my ability. And the big dream was, I want to share this philosophy. So I'm going to take this one day and replicate it for, you know, the world out there. So anyway, so fast forward, the Nutritious Life Studio is what I always say. It's really like that binder times 20 years of experiences. And that means successes and failures and changing of science knowledge turned into this course where you get all the science, counseling, and business information and these 20 years of experience, as well as, you know, input from other experts and all of the tools, all of the handouts, all of the science you need to create your own business and practice. So that's like in a nutshell, the Nutritious Life Studio. And so when I talk about the Nutritious Life Studio, I have to always say the community is like such a major part of it, but we can get that after.
Yeah, that's definitely a big part of it. So, okay. So say someone's interested and saying, I want to get certified in wellness through Nutritious Life Studio. What kinds of businesses are some of your alumni starting? Like, so if you're like, well, I don't want to be a nutritionist, but you could be a nurse and this could help you, or you could be, you know, like there's a bunch of things that you've told me in the past, but could you kind of like list, you know, some ideas of who this can benefit in a sense?
Yep. So someone just asked the question though, is it just one course that you take? So stop. There's two courses. There's a level 1 and a level 2 course. There's a 3-month program and a 6-month program. So you can take them together or you can do them separately. I think that's what the question was. If that's not clear, definitely let me know. Dietitians, by the way,
So,
I don't know if anybody else knows this. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
so
losing you a little
maybe
bit.
also like what the time commitment is.
Yeah. So if you do, so the first level 1 is 3 months, but it is all self-time. So you can do it faster if you want. You can do it slower if you want, but you can't unlock another lesson until you passed a quiz for the first lesson. So you have to go in order, but again, you can do it a little bit faster, you can do it a little bit slower. Level 2 on its own, we say is 6 months, but again, you can do it a little faster, you can do it a little bit slower. But if you do the two together in our sort of accelerated program, we say again, 6 months, but again, you can do it a little slower, you can do it a little faster.
That's awesome. So it's like, you know, build your own adventure for these courses, which I think is great.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you go in an order, but yes, you can do it at your own pace. But I do want to also mention, because many people don't realize this, if you're a dietitian and you take the course, you do get 12 continuing ed credits for level 1 and you get 50 for level 2. So you really get a lot of continuing ed credits. Just important for dietitians to know that.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. But what about, what businesses do people start?
Yeah, like, so they take the course, like what are some of the businesses that people are kind of, and why people are taking it?
Yeah, I mean, so we have people, and this is one of the things that makes the community so amazing, is the diverse backgrounds, and then also the diverse things that people do and types of businesses that people start when they finish or continue to grow. So we have people that are dietitians in private practice and use the program to help build their business and the community and learn the science of how to translate the science into consumer-friendly language. So we have people that have used the program to continue to grow their practices. We have people that grow health coaching practices. We have people that have started food businesses, multiple people who've started food business, healthy food brands, and want that real nutrition science to be able to have content around their food products, but also be able to talk the talk and know what other types of products to develop. We have acupuncturists in the program who speak to again clients about nutrition and want that solid foundation and credential. Lots of trainers, Pilates instructors, yoga instructors. We have people in school that work in schools. We have nurses. We have some people actually in pharmaceutical sales. I mean, we have people in all kinds of.
Oh, there's chefs too.
We have chefs. Exactly. We have chefs. Probably. And now I'm going to think of 10 more types of people in the program after I get off. But yeah, I mean, people working in hospitals and food service. We have people, like I said, nurses, dentists. I mean, really a variety of people. And then we also have people that are, you know, maybe were marketers or marketing in their past life or in their life now, and want a complete career shift because maybe they've just been, you know, the healthy guru among their or among their friends, and they're obsessed and they want to take that leap and change their career and change their life.
Yeah, it's like, you know, you always have that friend of yours that you go to be like, wait, what should I be putting in my omelet?
Yeah.
What's the new healthy fad? Like, and that person, you're like, oh, you should totally take this. Like, this could be something, you know,
Right.
like it's interesting, you know, you just to dovetail back to what you said you took a class in college earlier in the conversation because you were interested in it and it was just a passion of yours, but you are going for a completely different degree. And then look at you now, like you have this, you followed your passion. You didn't right away, but
Right.
you eventually followed your passion, and you're happy and thriving because of it. And I think that's just such an important lesson, especially now. Like, you don't have to be stuck just because you chose to
Right.
get a degree in marketing or law or whatever doesn't mean you have to pivot, right? Like, or you can't pivot. I mean,
Right.
like, you can do it. So I think that's
Absolutely. I mean, life is too short, right? Life is too short. And the other thing is, Laura, hi, Laura. By the way, if you don't follow Laura, Get Naked Nutrition, you have to go follow her now. Laura is an incredible dietitian who is in our community, and she says, best community, re-inspired me when I joined the program. Yay, yay, yay. I miss you too. Laura is fantastic. Amazing, amazing dietitian. Anyway, thanks, Laura.
well, but wait, now that you're talking about the community, that's like a huge part of this. Like, so yes, the course is.
You were just going to say something else then. See, this is
this is what our meetings are like.
I know. This is why. No, I'm saying when people are so good at talking live, answering questions, I get like all thrown off. Wait, so what were we just going to say? They're talking about pivoting and career. Oh, what was I going to say about that? Oh, that you asked me something about pivoting and changing, and then I took a class in Nutrition 101, and then
talking to like, for people that just joined, like, you actually took a class in college that wasn't geared towards your degree. You just were really super passionate about it, and then now you've completely changed your career, which I think
I took that when I was working after college. Actually, I didn't even get there in college. In college, I was still a wuss. I was totally a wuss and did not take it. The science class I took, I can't remember. I had two for my requirements at Tufts, and I took one was plants and humanities, and one was, I don't even know what the second requirement was, but I did not think I was a science person. So it actually wasn't even until after when I was working that nutrition class. But I know what I was going to say. This is important. I wanted to say, when you talked about like being able to pivot, is that if you have this passion, what I always tell people, if you are so passionate about nutrition, you owe it to yourself, and you owe it, sounds so cliche and corny maybe, but you owe it to the world to follow that, right? Because you don't even know the lives that you could possibly change by following your passion. And that doesn't mean you need to be a dietitian. It doesn't need to be, you need to be, let's say, a healthy chef. It doesn't mean you might take it in a different path than we've ever even heard of. Who knows what to do with it? But if you have that passion, I always say, it's like you have to do it. And I really feel that 1,000%, because it's just like one of those things, like, gnawing at you. You don't want to be 20 years from now and feel like, I'm so passionate about nutrition. Why didn't I do something now? Do something with that. And the thing is, like, with this passion, maybe more than others, you get to change lives. Not that you can change lives with other passions, but like, you really can change lives with this passion. So that's why I always say you owe it to yourself, but you really owe it also to the world. Like, again, it sounds so cliche and corny maybe, but it's like the world does need that. Right? So I just think that if you have that, like, gnawing at you, that like, oh, I love nutrition, I really want to study that, I'm really interested in that, I want to do something with it, like, you'll figure out exactly what that is, even if you don't know exactly what it is now. But just take that first step, get going, move on it.
No, it's true. It's really true. And it can be scary at first, but like, some of the best things you do are scary. Like, you go on a roller coaster and you're like so scared, but then afterwards you're like, let's do it again, you know? So,
by the way, like, and that's like, I think, like, yeah, like you just said, the best things, like, most things are scary. Most things are, right? Like, most good things are scary.
Being a mom is terrifying, but it's the best ride ever, right? Like,
yeah.
Like, oh, what am I going to do? Like, they give you the baby and they don't give you any instructions. They're just like, here's your child. Like, it's, totally. You know, same with your career. So, but just to go back, you know,
but I'm giving you the instructions with your career.
Yeah. That's it. Now, there's
by the way, I didn't create a manual. I did not. When I created the manual for Nutritious Life, I did not create a manual how to raise Rex and Maisie. I definitely did not do that, and that would have bombed. I would not have been. Don't read that, man. Don't read my manual there. They're awesome. They're the most delicious. I'm obsessed with my children, but you wouldn't want to read my manual.
No, if there was a manual though, I'd read it. Like, I mean, there's no guide. But
that's another conversation.
The beautiful thing is you actually have created a manual for people to change their lives. And one of the things, you know, with the Nutritious Life Studio, you can do it at your own pace. The courses are online. It's really great, especially now where people are home more and able and maybe wanting to take that step, and it might feel more comfortable to them. But what's unique and what I think is really special about it is the community. And you mentioned it briefly before. You were even shouting out somebody who was an alumni who's on here right now. The community is what is special that you don't get anywhere else. And so can you kind of talk to me about that and like what you do with the community? So when you are in the program, like how that can, you know, help even energize you, and maybe, you know, people are really isolated these days. Like maybe it can spark something really important for them in terms of, you know, building that community for themselves and friends, you know?
Yeah, it is second to none. I mean, it is so incredible. And the interesting thing is when I started this program, we have this private Facebook group, and I knew we were going to do a private Facebook group for people to chat, but I had no clue what this community was going to turn into. I had no clue how just incredible it would be and how I would meet personally in real life, and how many of people in the community would meet in real life and become friends and collaborate. And it is unbelievable how much these people empower one another, support one another, cheer one another on. It's just like mind-blowing. And I am constantly just reminded of that, you know, week by week, if it's in so we have our private Facebook group, then we have our Zoom chat every week. Then we have a book club. We do our in-person masterclass, which we're not doing in person here, but normally we have our big 2-day event masterclass. If you're in the community, you also can write and be part of nutritiouslife.com. We have other live events, which obviously we're not doing those right now. Oh, hi again.
Kenny's rocking a mask back there.
Oh yeah, Kenny with the mask. You can say hi.
Hi. One of the agents in the business.
Right. Kill.
I love him so much. I can't even stand it.
Time to go to work.
Oh my gosh.
This apartment isn't big enough for all of us.
Oh, yay.
What?
Keri, in the, someone's taking the program now and loving it. Yay.
Oh, yay. Awesome. Oh, I know what I wanted to say on the,
Glassman.
okay, in the, oh, I know what I was just going to say on the Zoom chat. So we do these Zoom chats every Tuesday. And yesterday, one of our amazing Nutritious Life Studio alum, Heather Goldberg, she said, you should follow her on here too. She said we were talking about these weekly chats and how they're just so incredible. And she said that I feel like you are all my board of directors. And this Tuesday meeting is in my calendar. It is penned in and it is there on repeat because you are all my board of directors, and we are all there everybody is there to support one another. And I thought that was such a really great way to describe it, because I think that just really explains how, again, supportive and empowering, but also informative. Again, like I said, that the community is so diverse and we have so many different types of people in the program that everybody brings, of course, their own personal experiences and their own personal life and history, but they also bring their own work experiences from all kinds of different careers with the same goal of helping people live healthier lives, right? So it's a really incredible, just smart. I haven't said that enough. Smart, talented, empowering, just awesome, amazing group of people, really.
And you personally lead the Zoom every week.
Every single week, yes.
So people have access to you every week, which is, you know, you don't, that's, you know, you're running a company yourself, you're super busy. Like, that's amazing that you offer your time because you believe in these people and you want them to succeed, because that's the whole point.
Well, I also think, I mean, it's like the good thing about Zoom, and I think something that has obviously been so important during this time in all of our lives is that, I mean, you can do it from wherever, whenever. Like, you can jump on wherever, your phone. So I have done it every week, and hopefully, you know, it will be every single week, forever. But it is so important to me. And what I always say is, like, what you put in, you get out. Of course, you know, there's some people that take the class and they get certification, and, you know, I'll get emails from them. They are using it and thriving and using it. They might not come to the Zoom and they might not come to book club. They don't get that. They're not that involved. You can be as involved as you want. Then there's other people that come to every Zoom, come to every event, you know, are on Facebook every day, and they get other things out of it. It's like you get out what you put in, and for some people want to put in more, for some people want on the sidelines, and that's okay. But I would say if you want to get that involved and you want to have access and work directly with me, also work with all these incredible people, you show up and you come and you put in that work and get a lot out. I mean, I can't even explain how much you get out.
So there's an article that you wrote on the site that I just reread, which I thought was so important. And people that are going out on their own, you know, that maybe worked in a different career and had an office and maybe worked for a huge corporation, were used to the resources of a large corporation,
yeah.
the meetings, the things like that. And when you're an entrepreneur, especially when you're starting out, it's just you. And so that can feel very isolating. So having gone through, you know, the Nutritious Life Studio and having this, that's kind of the community that you need, like the board of directors. And I thought it was such an important article that you wrote, because, you know, people that are starting out and doing this, they could feel very lonely, but to build your community, and the article was about how to build your community as an entrepreneur. And I think, you know, so go look for it. It's really great. It's on Nutritious. But I think that it's a while ago.
I'm like, what article was that? Yeah, no, now I'm remembering.
Yeah. You have some really good advice on there. So I think that was so really poignant, especially now when people, you know, are feeling lonely. But as an entrepreneur, you might feel even more lonely because you feel like you're doing it on your own, but you don't have to. You can ask for those resources, and you are a resource for people that are in the group. So jumping back to your career just a teeny bit, when you were starting out, like, you had your binder, which I think is amazing, but like, what are some of the mistakes you made initially?
Oh,
and then, or maybe what are some of the mistakes you made recently that you're open to sharing?
Oh my God, I've made so many mistakes. How do I even begin? Where do I even begin? Oh gosh, I mean, so many different mistakes. I'm trying to think of like which bucket to pick from. Well, you know, one thing we were talking about actually the Zoom chat yesterday, this is just top of mind because we were talking about this in the group. And I spoke about this with a one-on-one session with somebody in our program. We talked about this. Well, continued it in the group yesterday. We talked about this person felt like if somebody hadn't reached their health goals, a one-on-one client, they hadn't reached their health goals, that she felt like it was all her fault. Like she felt like a failure as a nutrition coach. And she was like stressed out about it. And I said to her, first of all, like, you're not alone. Many people feel that way. And I absolutely made that mistake, probably, of taking on everybody's stuff. You know what I mean? Everybody, all my clients' emotions, all of their thoughts, all of their feelings. Like, I took so much of that home, including then feeling incredibly stressed if someone hadn't reached their goal. And, you know, I'd be up all night. They'd be like feeling better and great all night. And, you know, I would take it on as my fault. Was that my fault? What have I done? What could I have done better? So I wasted, I think, a lot of time and energy where I could have been staying much more positive and focusing on, you know, how to continue to help this person, but not taking all of their emotions and just all of their stuff on. And I think that that's something very common, that when people are first counseling people, that they do. And you burn out doing that. And you also realize that, I mean, there's so many, somebody might not be reaching their health goal that we don't have to list them all. Never. I mean, there could be a million different reasons. Genetics, like, maybe they're not even sharing everything that they're doing. I mean, we don't know. There's so many different, right? But it's certainly not like, you can always look to do better as a you know, a dietitian or a coach. You can always look to do better, and you always want to learn and grow. especially with nutrition. Science is always changing. So you have to evolve, you have to grow, and you have to look at like, how could I do it differently? Maybe and of course you have to look at your mistakes and learn from that, but you can't take it all on. You just can't take that all, and you can't believe you're going to waste a lot of energy. I mean, that seems kind of like a simple one, but it was sort of just I remember wasting a lot of energy and time in my career on that and feeling stressed and worried and insecure probably about it. So anyway, that's just a specific one because I was talking about it yesterday. But I would say let's look thinking of a more business one. I would say that I used to get so wrapped up in, if something didn't work out, if it was a brand deal or if it was a TV show or if it was something didn't work out, I get so emotionally attached to emotions is a big part. It's a big theme. But I would get so emotionally attached to the outcome with like, I have to get that TV job, or I have to get that brand deal, or I have to, this has to happen. And then I got to a point in my career where I was like, okay, like this, like something not happening. I would say like, this is like ruining the day, and then I'd come home and I'd be cranky and I'm like, why am I bringing this into my, at the time, probably my kids were like, little kids, like, why am I bringing this home? And I'm like, then I'm not sleeping at night. Like, why am I making this, like everything's such a big deal? And then you realize everything that doesn't work out is, and again, this sounds a little bit cliche too, but it was for a reason. And like, and especially the longer you're in business, like something big doesn't work out. You're like, whatever, so what? There's something tomorrow. Like things like but that takes a while to learn. So I'd say that now that's really much more how I am. But I think for a long time, I was the other way. And then I got to a point where I would say, okay, I'm giving myself 5 minutes to be effing pissed off, angry, upset, whatever. And I would sit there and just be cranky, angry, and upset. And I would literally like time myself 5 minutes. That's it. And then I would move on. And all it took was I had to do one thing to be productive. And it could be the tiniest little thing. Cross one little thing off my list, but I needed to cross one thing off my list to sort of regain that momentum of being productive and then move forward. And so I did that for a lot of years. Now I feel like I don't even really need the 5 minutes. I just like move right on. But that was very helpful for many years to transition me from this, like being emotionally attached to every single business outcome.
So
that was I guess that's a mistake. Like just a lot of like wasted energy and stress and like negative energy. And
I mean, that could be said about like being an entrepreneur. That could be said about any career.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good advice. That could just be said about just like waking up. Like, don't take on the negativity of like, that you don't need to.
By the way, we could do a whole live on mistakes. I have so many like specific. I could give you like some specific flop stories.
I feel like we're gonna I'm writing it down.
I'll give you all those too.
We're gonna do that, and so
I kind of forgot where
I'm so excited for this coming Nutritious Life Studio season enrollment season, and I really want to like encourage people to check it out. I think it's so unique. If you have an inkling of being interested in nutrition, if you want to like take your career to another step, I think it's just really important and that's the whole point of this article that we're writing, is to like let people know what it is and why you should join and what you get out of it. And you're explaining it so well. And I'm like, I mean, I already work for you, and I'm like, I want to do it too, So, but I think one of the things is, again, and it goes back to people being like nervous about pivoting their career. So could you give some advice about like, essentially what if somebody wants to do this, but is scared? So maybe you were scared, Keri, when you were taking the plunge to like get rid of your stable job and just do it. Do you have like top 1 or 2 tips or advice or something for somebody who's like interested, but maybe nervous?
Well, kind of like what I said before, like if you're passionate about this and this is passion, you kind of have no choice. Like you owe it to yourself and to everyone around you to do it. Right. So it's like, it's think about that. I always think like whenever I'm afraid of something or fearful or nervous or, worried about something, I always say, I always think to myself, like if there's an opportunity, okay, let's say that I'm nervous about, I always think to myself, not having the opportunity makes me more nervous. right?
Oh, yeah.
So the opportunity, you have to think that the fear or the nerves that go along with the opportunity are so much better than not having the opportunity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then you're kind of like, let me bring on those nerves. I love it because you want that's the better option, right? And then so I mean that's kind of it, right? And the other thing, and then I guess so one other little piece is, and this is maybe the more practical side of this, is that you don't have to leave your career too. Like if you're like even when I first nutrition class I ever took, like I was still working. I still worked when I took that first class. I didn't jump until I was a little bit in, right? So, you know, you can start taking this. Like do this at night, do it on the weekends, do it on vacation, like take classes so you don't have to think, it doesn't have to be, you know, all in the minute you do it. You know, like you can take baby steps.
Yeah. No, I love it. And then can you list out, like, because you know it so well because you're teaching it, like what are the things that you are learning in the Nutritious Life Studio course?
Oh my gosh. I mean, there's so much. There are like, there's so, I'm like, where do we even begin? Well, first of all, there's a whole science module. I'm going to combine level 1 and level 2 just to get us talking about all of it at once.
Perfect.
And in level 1, you get all of this too. You just get a much deeper, more involved version of all of it in level 2. So talking about both together, you get the nutrition, like science of nutrition. I mean, and we cover everything from fat diets to carbs, fats, and protein to digestive health to hormones. I mean, we cover it, right? So then, so the science of nutrition, counseling and coaching, nutrition, and then also building business. And in each of those modules, and I mean, you can link to that here. I guess we'll link to it whenever you do this article, but I mean, we list out all the different categories, and there's just, I mean, there's 20 something modules in level 2 and 12 modules in level 1. And that just to give you an idea of how comprehensive it is, if you do both of these programs, if you're a dietitian, you get 62 continuing ed credits. If you're not a dietitian, that I'm bringing that up just sort of so people understand like how comprehensive that it is that you get all of those continuing eds, right? So you have an idea, even if you're not how comprehensive the program is.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, that's awesome. I mean, Keri, I think I've asked you everything.
I was just gonna say, like, do you gotta have enough for an article? No,
I'm like thinking
keep going,
like,
but I'm like
maybe 2 articles. I'm excited. I know. I just get like so interested in. I mean, I work for you, but like I get so interested in like what we're doing, you know, and like all of the things that we can do. And every day, you know, I'm learning something new about nutrition. But okay, so just for fun.
Yeah. Oh no.
This is, I know, I just want to know, like, what are your favorite things right now in the nutrition world? Like, is there a spice that you're putting on everything? Like, what are some of your favorite, like, fun? This is just for fun. Like, I'm just curious. Like, what are your faves right now?
Okay. Well, one thing. So I got a air fryer. That like have happened within the past 24 hours. Like I talked about something from the Zoom community. I talked about, you know, I'm bringing up things that are obviously top of mind. So I got an air fryer a couple months ago, during quarantine, I think. And I used it a couple times, but like have not gotten it into my routine. And I was like, I need to start using this more. I need to incorporate it into my daily routine to make some things faster. So we used it last night. We made Maisie actually made them. But we made potatoes last night in the air fryer. So anyway, that's just sort of a random thing, like kitchen appliance that I'm using. So what food and things am I using the most? I'm trying to think.
Like, what's your favorite fall spice?
But you know me. I mean, come on, pumpkin, pumpkin. I do. No, I love pumpkin everything. I do really love pumpkin everything. The world loves pumpkin, but I do really love pumpkin everything. But I actually really, and this isn't like new, but this is just something I use regularly, is turmeric. I mean, but I use that all year long, but I do kind of like it a little bit more in the fall because I'll make like a turmeric latte in the fall, where I probably won't do that in the spring or the summer. So I'm using a lot of that, but you know me, I'm a little bit like, I don't go for all the different like new trends. I try new things when things come out, but I used to say, and I go through phases of like turmeric or matcha or adding maca powder to a smoothie. Like I go through different phases, but I'm not like, okay, there's a new, like, whatever, I'm trying this new thing and I get like and I'm hooked. It's like, to me, a lot of these trends are just trends, right? And they're not miracle, products or items. And so most of the things that I eat, I've been eating for many years. Again, I just go through different, phases, and I also mix and match and them up a little bit. But I'm always eating a lot of nut butter. I might have like a new, nut and seed mixture that I'm liking, but I'm always eating butter. I'm always using lots of herbs and spices. I mean, remember the O2 diet from way back when?
Oh yeah.
Were you at Rodale when the O2 diet came out?
I was at Women's Health. I was. Yeah.
So that, like, I have to add herbs and spices to every single meal, including like, adding, basil or oregano to your eggs in the morning for antioxidants and a little the antimicrobial and antibacterial benefits and added flavor. So like I do those things always. It's not like based on a new trend. So I might just change up the spice that I'm using or change up. I might be on a cayenne kick at one point. And then, so I change them up. But I'm always using herbs and spices. I'm always having nut butter. I'm always having a lot of avocado.
I know. Well, listen, everybody tuning in, just follow Nutritious Life Official, because Keri has been very good about like posting what she's cooking, and
I'm trying.
Rex's smoothie.
You're pushing.
I'm so good. I know I force you to, because I'm like, wait, what are you eating? Like, I want to know what you're eating. I need to be healthier. Like, I got a toddler. I got to like get it together, But people are interested. I'm genuinely interested, and I think everybody would agree with me. So that's awesome. Well, okay, I think I have everything. And everybody watching, check out the Nutritious Life Studio. If you ever are interested in, taking that course, the enrollment is opening in a couple weeks. It's October right now. What day is it? October 7th. So it's opening on the
October 19th.
October 19th, everybody. And so just check it out. You can do early enrollment. It's going to be awesome. And then you get the community. You get Keri, access to Keri, who's like one of my most favorite humans on the planet. For over a decade now, Keri, I've like forced my way into your life. So there you go.
That's so true. Wait, when did I first meet you? Women's Health, right?
Women's Health, when
you were doing PR at Women's Health, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Talk about a career pivot. I started out in PR and now I work in editorial. So you can do it, people. It works. Be happy. Follow your dreams.